This conference will now be recorded.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, Mayur, yes.
Yep. Thanks. Welcome guys. Welcome to the session on EWM overview. And before we start, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Mayur Sharma, and I got a total of 9 years of experience in the variety of industries I've been into. I started my career in the construction project. I was into a nuclear power plants construction project initially, and I worked there for 2.5 years, and then I got into SAP, and I started with SAP and slowly got moved on to SAP EWM, and then currently I'm working on EWM projects. I got some training experience on module and WM and EWM as well, and I've been training from last 5 to 6 years with the logistics pertaining to these modules. So this is about me, and the agenda for today's session is we'll be looking into the different aspects of why there was a need of an warehouse, and currently why we are in the need of an warehouse, in which scenarios the warehouse is being used, what is WMS, that is warehouse management systems or warehouse management softwares, what is being provided by SAP as an from SAP, what is the warehouse management system, whether it is WM or EWM, and what are the different aspects to it, as to what is the difference between WM and EWM. Then the different capabilities pertaining to EWM. Then there are two different available landscapes within EWM, whether it is in basic or an advanced. We'll be looking into this, and we'll be looking into the different differences available, and what is being provided within S/4HANA as an embedded, and the different deployment options which are got available in the EWM. Then we'll be looking into the basic organizational structure as to what is the connection between, how is it being developed between ERP and EWM. And we'll be looking into the separate EWM organizational structure on the specific to EWM aspects. And lastly, we'll be discussing on what will be the topics or different kinds of areas which we'll be concentrating on during the time of our courses. So before we go into the details, just an update, guys. You can just interrupt me anytime, anywhere if you got any doubts. We can surely discuss upon. And before we start, if you got any questions, just let me know. I'll just take a pause. Any questions, guys? If not, then I'll move ahead. So why there is a need of a warehouse? This topic may be falling like very boring for you guys if you already know about why the warehouse is being used, and if you already have worked on SAP WM. There are some aspects which are really, maybe you will be finding boring, but these are some of the basic things which we must be aware of, because when we talk about WM or EWM, it is totally a functional thing wherein how the things are moving around. If we don't know about that, then we may fall up not to understand the concept in its entirety. So why there is a need of a warehouse? If anyone can answer. Guys, I want this session to be very much interactive. We must be talking. Anyone?
Hi, Mahu. Yeah, hi, Mahu. Yeah, a warehouse is something which you keep your materials. basically in a rack or maybe in a quant or a beam. So
Yeah.
it's and from where this material get dispatched and where the material comes in.
Yeah, perfect. So initially, when we talk about warehouse in the initial days, when there, I mean, when we say we can say during the time of wars and during that time when we were in the crunch of food. So that time, the concept of storage facilities came into picture. So during that time, what was happening was that people used to invite upon and they used to concentrate or just go into their storage facilities and they used to take off everything. So that time the warehouse related facilities came into picture, and as we evolve upon the industry age came in. So during that time, based on the different aspects, whether it is a storage facility or different pricing conditions or different risk bearing capacities, the concept of warehousing got evolved upon. And nowadays, if you'll see an example of Amazon or Myntra or any other electronic platforms, if you take about in those platforms, this warehousing is very much kind of famous across these industries. Why? Because from the supply chain point of prospect, and there are so many different challenges with respect to which to cater upon we should be having an warehouse facilities, as you said, the storage facility for storing the different materials should be available with us. So it mostly deals with different storages, but why there is a need is because, like say, if you are taking an example of an industry of like say in a day-to-day activity, if you go to Bajaj Electronics to buy something, they will not just give you away that product on that moment itself. They will just go to their warehouses, and from there they will bring the product again back in here. So why they are just keeping it away is because, like say, in the city areas, the per square feet area prices required for them to store the product may be higher, and if they store it back onto the out of the cities, then it would be very much lower, and they should be having the stock readily available with them to fulfill to the customers, right? So those kind of an different examples based on the different line of businesses available, there is a requirement of an warehouse came in, and it is kind of something wherein nowadays it is very much famous that you are keeping the distribution centers out of your city, and from there you are bringing the product and you are distributing it within the city. So, but if you take an example of the warehouse of a typical warehouse, it will be having a very huge areas. If you see the warehouse in physical, it would be almost around like bare minimum 1 square kilometers or zero point 0.5 square kilometers. An average warehouse would be, and within this kind of an big facilities, if you want to find a product just on and go, then you should be having a robust system in place, right? So that's the reason the warehouse management softwares or systems came into picture. So these are some of the challenges which I got, like say the external challenges are from the consumer's point of view. Like say in the proportionate way, if you consider the kind of an demand which is going on nowadays, for that kind of an demand, you should be having an robust or challenges which are available in the current industry. You should be having a robust system in place which would be catering to the customer's requirement properly. And so that's the reason we should be having the WMS. And nowadays, if you see, it is not in single channel or multi-channel fulfillment process. It is kind of something which is omni-channel fulfillment process nowadays. The customer being at the center, they will be able to place an order from their mobiles or any kind of an devices. And if you see the kind of an volume of orders nowadays, it is kind of an inverse proportion. Like say the quantities within the order would be very low, but the number of orders would be very high. And if you want to sustain with it, you should be having the warehouse management system in place, which would be used to manage all your incoming and outgoing stocks. So there will be the different kinds of processes available. We'll be discussing about those processes in detail. But these are some of the challenges, like say internal challenges are once we satisfy the external challenges, the internal challenges would be once you have warehouse in place, once you have warehouse management system in place, but there is a need of an hour to plan your activities within the warehouses in a proper way. Like say there will be number of resources available within your warehouse. A forklift operator would be there. Like say different conveyor systems would be there. Different resources to carry out packaging and packaging, quality related aspects checking. So there will be so many different aspects which are going on within the warehouse. So this to handle these challenges, we should be having a software which would be directing to the warehouse manager as to how the thing should be going on, right? So that's the reason we should be having an system or a software in place. And for this requirement to address upon, SAP came up with a solution of warehouse management. So it got started in the year 1990, and from there they embedded the warehouse management system in R3, SAP R3 system, where it was running closely with SAP MM. For whoever who doesn't know about what SAP MM is, SAP MM is an materials management system wherein it deals with mostly the aspects pertaining to procurement, inventory management, and invoicing. It is kind of something which deals with inverting of all the materials, which is coming from the vendors, or if there is any customer returns. So inverting whatever which is incoming within your warehouse or within your facilities, that is being dealt with SAP MM as a module. And if it comes to SAP SD, which is sales and distribution, it mostly deals with your supply to the customers. So when we talk about SAP EWM, it is a central component which connects both with SAP MM and SAP WM, SAP SD, for inverting the materials and for sending it back to the customers, inbound and outbound processes, on which we'll be discussing shortly. So this is an involvement process of SAP WM and EWM within SAP. 1991 was the start. 1998, they deployed some of the RF functionalities within SAP WM, and we can even go with a decentralized, or we will be discussing about each and every terminologies in detail. But decentralized is something which is not the part of your embedded system, which can be, like say, a third party people are using that system, or just managing the stock for you guys. If that is the case, or if the different systems are in place which are managed by you, so depending on that, the decentralized concept came in 1998. Thereafter that, in 2005, EWM came into picture. So initially, when EWM is an next version, or we can say an advanced version of WM, wherein it will deal with the major differences we'll be discussing about in the latter slides which are coming up now. But the major differences are WM records the source and destination, but EWM records each and every step which is there within your warehouse. So it is very much precise, and it is very much transactional or recordative, we can say. So EWM initially when it came in, it was available as a part of your SCM box, which is a supply chain management related box, wherein it got started with SCM 5.0 version, and from there it got evolved upon with the latest version of individual EWM as an available with 9.5 version as of now. And there are some EWM embedded versions which are currently available. And these are some of the deployment options. There are so many different deployment options available. When I say deployment options, there are different servers or different base applications on top of which the EWM will be installed upon. Like say with SAP ECC as a version, if we talk about, we can always develop a connection between ERP and SCM boxes. On the SCM, on top of SCM, there will be an EWM available, and the connection would be developed between these two different boxes. So when we are at the last stage of our course, during that time we'll have 100% clarity on what is what. But for now, even if you don't understand it completely, or it's totally fine. But whoever knows about SAP, they can understand about these aspects as to these are some of the different deployment options available. And as of now, for our courses, we'll be using an embedded SAP EWM software, which is an latest available version of S4 HANA with embedded with EWM. That is 1909 system, right? So, do we have any question on this? Guys, please feel free here.
Mayur,
Yep.
just one thing. I like to have some more clarity. What do you mean by EWM record each steps? Like in WM, we have this put away and picking strategy, right? Then you mean something in between?
Yeah.
What do you mean by yeah?
Yeah. So if we take an example, like say inbound process, what is happening within inbound? It is not only that you're unloading, then you're processing the GR, then like say you're performing an action of packing. After that, you're doing like say some VAS activities, and thereon you're placing that onto the physical locations, right?
Okay,
Like say this is your scenario. But if you talk
yeah.
about if this is a scenario in SAP WM, then the unloading activity when it comes here in the GR zone, it will be an intermediate like say that storage type 901, where it has been stored upon temporarily, and from there directly it will come to the physical location. But when we talk about SAP EWM, we can record each and every step which is available within it. While recording each and every step, we can even like say there will be an for each and every step there will be an warehouse order and warehouse task which will get created within EWM. And for each and every activity, like say in the VAS work center, there will be an work center within this activity to be carried out, which is indirectly an storage type only, but this would also be recorded within EWM when we are trying to post an inbound delivery within EWM side. So that's the reason, but this scenario is not available within our WM system, right? There will not be a separate work center. There will not be a separate step. It will just directly be bringing the product directly from your GR zone to your physical location where it needs to be stored on. Like say, so this is one of the distinguishing point. If it answers your question.
Okay. The VAS is a kind of a work center, you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, VAS is, we will be discussing about that process.
Okay.
So VAS is an activity for which it needs a work center. Okay, like say you are carrying out if there are some plates, like say you are working in a manufacturing industry, and for your product which is incoming, you send it to subcontracting process. Okay, and when you send it to subcontracting, you got it like say you send it for machining to be carried out on a plate. You have to maintain some flatness of 0.02 mm or something like that on that plate. And when you receive that particular product, after that, once receiving it, that surface needs to be, like say, oiled or greased. There should be some activity to be carried out on that particular surface. That activity would be recorded as an VAS activity, which is an value added service. But to perform that activity, you should be having a work center which would be acting as your place where you will be recording and timings with respect to how much time did it take, which resources were engaged, or what operation did I perform, what is my inwarding material, what is my outwarding material. So those kind of things you'll be recording in your VAS activity, right?
Okay,
So
clear for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So we'll move ahead with our deployment options. Do we have any further questions on this, guys? Yep. If not, we'll go ahead. So these are some of the EWM capabilities, guys. There are so many different processes available within EWM. Like say, this is an holistic view of the operations which are being carried out within a typical warehouse. But within these operations, there will be so many different sub processes available. And these are some of the extra functionalities which are available within our EWM system. Like say an inbound process, when we earlier took an example of typical SAP MM scenario wherein there is an requirement generated within your organization saying that I need this material of this quantity by this date. If this kind of a requirement is generated within your plant and storage location combination, there will be an purchase order created. Against that purchase order, there will be an inbound delivery. That inbound delivery will will act as a reference for performing some actions on processing the inbound process within an EWM site. So and like say if you want to just I'll just show you a typical real-time warehouse. Like say this is my warehouse, and within this warehouse, these are some of the gates for me, which are being used for a typical inbound process. When it comes from a vendor, after that it will be staged for some time, and from there it will be brought onto these work centers where the activities, different activities which we just discussed about, that would be carried out, and from there it will be stored in a physical location. So this acts as your inbound process where you are receiving the goods. And when it goes to the storage and operations, that is your internal process, wherein, like say, you received the material now and you have placed it in your physical location. But from your physical locations, you have to move around some of the products, like say, these boxes which are being used here, these boxes are stored at this location, and these are being transferred from this location to this location to consume it. Or like say there will be some replenishment activities, or there will be so many different scenarios for which we may need an internal movement within the warehouse. So those kind of an activity would be handled within EWM, and there will be an outbound process as well, wherein we are fulfilling the customer's requirement, right? So we are sending the goods out from our warehouse location to the customer location. So these are some of the basic EWM scenarios which you have got, and there will be an different like say advanced functions which are available within our EWM. That is an yard management, which is something which deals with an outside area. Like say if the doors which we talked about on the right side, if you could see the outside area which is available for us to bring on the vehicles or to temporarily store some of the products outside or those kind of an areas, that is called an yard. And for that to manage that particular yard, we have got some functionalities available within EWM. So we deal with transportation units or those kind of stuff there within the yard. Then there is a cross docking wherein we are not bringing the goods directly within the warehouse and we are just transferring the goods back to the customer location or different plants based on the requirement without physically storing it. So these kind of different processes are available in EWM. And when we discuss about the course content, all these topics are being covered as an individual topic for our the detailed course, which would be in which we'll be looking into the different configuration aspects required and the real-time scenarios which are available. We'll be discussing those as well. And on the right side, if you could see, these are some of the differentiating points from WM to EWM, and
Mayur,
these are yep.
sorry to interrupt you in between, but
Yep.
your screen is very small. Means I could maybe I don't know about others, but we could hardly see this.
Is it fine now?
Yeah, it's little better.
Well, I'll just copy this. Yep. Is this fine now? Yep.
It's good.
Okay, so these are some of the differentiating points with respect to WM and EWM. The one which we talked about earlier is a complete functional aspect to it as to how the processes are running. But these are some of the technical changes, like say GUI. GUI is a graphical user interface. That is the only thing which is available within SAP WM. But when it comes to S/4HANA embedded EWM system, it has got so many different beautiful SAP Fiori apps available, which brings a next level user experience, and it has got so many different embedded analytics available within the Fiori apps, which would be giving an overview of the KPIs or different kinds of dashboards available, and it is bringing in very much ease to the users. So we'll be looking at those different basic theory apps also in the course. And the next distinguishing points, these are all some typical technical changes which are available. Like say it is 3 characters code, now it is 4 characters, and there are some organizational hierarchy available within the warehouse. So we'll be discussing about these terms later on, but for your reference, I just kept this slide so that you'll have some idea on what are the differences. But we'll be discussing on what is storage type, what is storage section, how is the handling and need management, what are the storage pins, what is business partner. We'll be looking into all these aspects in coming slides. So this is about until these slides we talked about why warehouse is being used, what are the different warehouse management system and what is the need of it. Then we talked about what exactly is provided by SAP, whether it is WM or EWM, and what are the different functionalities available. And this slide is regarding within EWM, there are two different functions available, whether it is an basic EWM or whether it is an advanced EWM system. So from the customer's point of view, if you want to go with an advanced embedded EWM system, then we should be having a separate license for it. But as a part of this course, to understand the complete scenario and complete aspects with respect to the complex warehouses available, we should be having an idea about advanced EWM as well. So we'll be discussing about that. So when we talk about basic embedded EWM system, it comes with inventory management, process and layout oriented warehouse management. That is an process that deals with the different activities which you want to perform, or based on the different the structure of your warehouse, it will call for different layout related aspects which will be having the different kinds of stripes available. So we'll be discussing about these processes in detail, which is an heart of your EWM. Then there will be an graphical reporting capabilities available within your monitoring aspects of your warehouse, which will be giving you the different KPIs within your monitor transactions. Then there will be a physical inventory. For who doesn't know about physical inventory, it is kind of an activity wherein we are counting the products on physically as to how much is the quantity available in the system and how much is the quantity available physically at that particular location where we are trying to carry it out the physical inventory for. So there are some different kinds of physical inventories available within your EWM. Then there will be some internal warehouse processes, the one which we talked about now, replenishment process or rearrangement or those kind of things. Then an RFID technology wherein the radio frequency devices which are being used to scan the bins or locations or products or handling units or different kinds of labels which are available within your warehouse. So all those aspects there will be available within your SAP EWM as an out-of-box solution. Then there is an handling unit management. And this last part, actually, it is not, I mean, it is kind of something which is available as stock keeping unit, SKUs. By that, you are just managing the stock within your warehouse. And these are some of the advanced EWM functionalities wherein we are dealing with wave management, yard management. All these things we'll be discussing about each and every process in detail with some real-time examples, so that you guys will be having a better understanding by that time when we discuss about, right? I mean, by this time, since if any one of you are hearing it for the first time, you may find it difficult, but it is very much easy. And if we try to connect this back to the real-time examples, it becomes very much easier. So we'll be discussing about this in a later stage, right? So do we have any questions on this?
No, not for me.
Okay. Okay, so this is about typical organizational structure, and this is how we develop a connection between SAP S/4HANA system to embedded EWM system. So even if it has been shown as in different colored boxes, it is available as embedded, but there are some basic connections we have to develop as a part of our uh, uh, basic developing or pointing towards plant storage location combination to a warehouse. So if anyone can explain about what company or company code or plant storage location is. Guys, I want this session to be interactive. If you guys come from an SAP background, that would.
So, Mayur, hi, this side Pooja here.
Yeah, hi Pooja.
Yeah, company code wherein we have all the profit and loss statement kind of thing. Plant we can say where operations takes place, and storage location is wherein we keep our stock.
Yeah.
So that is in short, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. So I'll just give you a scenario, guys, here for who doesn't understand what company code, plant, and storage locations are. Let's take an example of Tata. Tata as a whole group. It has got so many different line of businesses. It's like say Tata Motors is there, Tata Infrastructure is there, Tata Communication used to be. Then there are so many different line of businesses available. So there will be an like say within a client as Tata, they will be creating a different company codes as Tata Motors or Tata Infrastructure, so that they will be having different kinds of profit and loss statements or different kinds of performance activity with them available once we run a report at a company code level. So there will be different aspects to it. It is just an example, guys. It depends on different parameters pertaining to basis also, as to how many clients have been created, or based on the different geographical conditions. So if they don't want to go with an downtime on the current system, they will just create the new boxes. So based on that, they will be deciding upon how the organizational structure would be. But as Pooja rightly said, the company and company code mostly deals with and financial aspects. The GL accounts, the profit loss statements, the different accounting aspects, the different currency pertaining to that company or company code. And when it comes to plant is something which is we can say it as a manufacturing facility or a distribution center, or like say from where the goods are being dispatched at different locations. So there will be a different or like say headquarters or any kind of an. I just mean not to limit your idea to the plant to be only a manufacturing facility. I'm just giving these examples. So plant can be anything, guys. Within, like say, if you want to carry out a planning run from one location, only the procurement is being carried out. So if these kind of things are available, then you'll be creating the different plants under the company code, right? And this plant, like say, within the Tata Motors only, you have created a company code at Tata Motors. And plants, like say, they have got the different plants available in Pune location, and one is in, like say, Jamnagar. Sorry, where is that? The one? Uh, Okay, there is one more.
Jamshedpur.
Yeah, Jamshedpur.
Jamshedpur.
Yeah, right. So at Jamshedpur location also they have got one more plant. So like say in this case we'll be creating two different plants within your company code, right? So under this plant there will be different storage locations available. The idea of creating a storage location is if you don't have a warehouse in place, like say warehouse will deal with your inventory at your bin level, right? The stock would be shown at the bin level. But when it comes to storage locations, and if you don't have any warehouse management attached to the particular storage location, so this kind of facilities will be very small, like say only like say 50 100 square meters or 150 square meters. In that, just by looking at the goods, you will be able to understand which material has been kept at which place. So if these kind of small facilities are available, you can limit your restriction of your organizational structure up to storage location. But and when we create these kind of storage locations without warehouse management in place, you can distinguish the storage locations as granular as possible with respect to different stock types or different uses of your stock types, or there can be a different parameters or physical characteristics with respect to which you can define as many storage locations as possible under the plant. But when it comes to warehouse management attached to an plant and storage location combination, the warehouse management will be having uh, all the aspects which we just talked about, the physical characteristics. Based on that, if you want to distinguish within your area, like say whether it is in quality or blocked or unrestricted or consignment, or like say if you want to store some of the products specially to sub-zero temperatures. For some, if you want to store it just at the room temperature. If some are dangerous goods, if you want to define those kind of an aspect, but not to limit to that idea to storage location level, then you'll be creating an warehouse management, right? So that warehouse management, whether it is WM or EWM, that kind of connection we have to develop it here. So the combination of plant and storage location would be pointed towards your warehouse management, and that would further be communicated to your EWM system. So the kind of a connection or how the things are being played upon on that area, we'll be discussing about that in our first session, how the connections are being made, and what is logical system, what is QRFC, and how the deliveries are being transferred, and what is the criteria for it, that we'll be discussing about. But the baseline for this is the combination of plant and storage location pointing towards our warehouse management number would be further connected to EWM system, right? So, and here the catch point is, if you guys know WM already, if there is an separate plant and storage location combination, if you want to connect it back to the EWM system, the different plant combination was not available previously, but as a part of our embedded system, we can even do that. The separate plants storage location, like say plant P002, for that the storage locations as AFS, and this plant's P001, the storage location of crossdock. Both these storage locations are coming of different plants are coming under one warehouse, and this is being connected back to EWM system, right? So do we have any questions on this? Please feel free, guys, and this session to be interactive. There should be some response from you guys as well.
Mayur, one thing, like
Yeah.
you mentioned embedded EWM, so it is not a part of HANA, means it's a separate structure you mentioned over here.
No, yeah, I mean, it is kind of an add-on. Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Sorry, who's this?
Sorry?
Sorry, I mean, who is this I'm asking? I mean, so that
This
I
is
will just
Abhishek.
refer it. Yeah, Abhishek. So I'll just give you an
Yeah.
example. Like say, this is my system of ERP. And there will be a system of EWM. Both these systems are under the umbrella of your S4HANA only. So this is whole S4HANA. But when it comes to ERP, it mostly deals with your all the base modules, MM, SD, PP, all these modules which are available. No, it deals with mostly that we are just calling it as ERP for now, but it is a part of it, and since it is the base module, since long it has been there are no any changes on that front. We call it as ERP, right? But when it comes to EWM, the SCM component, when we discussed earlier, it used to be a separate box altogether. So if you see this here, this is your ECC version, and this is your EWM, which was coming under the part of SCM, right? So this is being called as SCM, and this is being called as your ERP ECC version. But when it comes to your embedded system, it is available within your S4 system, but as a separate entity. The EWM part comes as on the top of your SCM. So whatever functionalities which is available on the SCM, those are now being completely embedded within your S4 HANA system. like say the earlier APO functionalities, if you guys know about it, advanced planning and all, if the IPP, PDS, all these things are now being integrated onto the S4HANA system. And in the coming future, when we go with the down the line, each and every system which is available as a separate box will come as an add-on to S4HANA as an embedded, but there will be some separate licensing criteria will be coming up in future,
Okay.
right?
But when
If
you
it answers your
speak
question.
about that,
Yeah.
when you speak about this organization structure,
Mm-hmm.
under storage location, you mentioned that warehouse management number. I think it is same as warehouse number, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The to point those connections, right? I mean, like say you have created the plant, you have created storage location, you have created the warehouse. This warehouse which we are talking about is our WM warehouse number.
Okay. Yeah. That
Uh,
three
yeah,
characters
three
number,
digit.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I just want to show you, if we can see my system, can you see my system?
Yeah.
Okay. Like say, this is my plant, guys. RI01 is my plant. These are my different storage locations, and this is my warehouse, RI1. The one which we talked about in an organizational structure for now, this is our ECC or ERP warehouse number, RI1. But when we develop a connection between ECC warehouse number and EWM warehouse number, we have to assign that warehouse number in against this combination, right? So we'll be going through these settings in our first session, but I'm just conveying this for your clarity. See here, the one which we created, right, RI1. This is our ERP warehouse number, and the four digit number that is here. This EWM warehouse. This is your number. So here we are trying to develop that connection. So further, it would get like say plant and storage location combination. Further would be connected back onto the via your availability group and different criterias again. So we'll be discussing those details when we discuss that particular topic. But if it answers your question,
Okay. Okay.
Abhishek.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Any further question, guys? So are we clear?
So is it important that to implement this EWM, we require WM implementation first, and then we need to implement
No,
EWM, right?
no,
Is
no,
it like
no,
that?
not required. Not required at all. It is just that we just have to create that linkage for now by creating that three characters number. Because the direct connection between plant and storage location is not available. So that's the reason with directly with EWM. Via availability group
Okay.
it is there, but there are some different missing links for now. But I'm sure that in the coming, like say, do you guys know about it? In 2025, the SAP will completely stop supporting SAP WM. There will not be any support after 2025 December 31st. So that's the reason there is so much of requirement for EWM, and now people are trying to move on to the EWM from WM functionalities. So in the coming days, it may so happen that this link may go off, and they may be trying to develop the whole connections directly from this combination to EWM in the coming versions. But for now, we are on the latest version 1909, but even then we have to do it. Right? Anyone
Okay.
else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayur, I have a query here. Sai
Yeah.
speaking here.
Yeah. Yeah. Sahi. Yeah. Please.
Mayur, EWM is set up, and we have both EWM and WM as a part of storage location configuration. So we can perform WM activity instead of EWM activity. Is it optional to do? I mean, is it mandatory to do only through EWM, or is it optional?
No, once we develop the connection between WM and EWM, what will happen is usually what happens on WM side, if you could explain. I mean, what is the process?
Yeah, okay. Let PO, inbound delivery or outbound delivery. Yeah, TR, TO,
No,
and goods issue, goods receipt.
usually on the, yeah. So here is the scenario when it comes to SAP WM, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when it comes to SAP EWM, once you develop that connection, no, this connection which we talked about, once you assign this WM warehouse number to EWM warehouse number, against this purchase order, based on the it will not allow you to post MyGo. You should be creating an inbound delivery always. So once you create that inbound delivery based on your different settings, it will get distributed to your EWM system. So the one which you talked about, if we consider WM scenario and we have configured everything here, it is supposed to, but from this point itself, it will divert it back onto the EWM side. So since that it got distributed on the EWM side, you have to perform all the action of GR processing on the EWM side only. After that, it will again come back here and it will post an GR on the ACC side.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. So that's the reason we should be having this. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it, Mike.
Okay. Anyone else, guys? Do we have any further questions? Please feel free. I mean, and even if you are if there is some disconnect or even if you are not getting, this is an overview, guys. This is very high level thing. And once we go into the details, each and every aspect we just talked about, we will try to configure it in the system. So while we configure it in the system, again, we'll go back to the theory as to which entity is required and why is it mandatory to have it. And after that, when we go into the details within the system, during that time, we'll have a further clarity on it, even if it is not 100% clear to you at this point of time. Right. So we'll move further. This is a real-time warehouse, guys. If you did not got a chance to look at the real-time warehouse as to how it looks and what are the operations which are being carried out within your warehouse, if that is the case, then here is a high-level thing. And before this is just a suggestion, guys. If you opt for or not opt for, it doesn't matter. But if we really want to learn about SAP EWM or WM functionalities, we should be 100% clear on the physical aspects as to how the process is going on within your warehouse. So for that to understand, I would suggest you should go through some YouTube videos as to how the operations are going on. And the best example would be an Amazon warehouse, wherein each and every activity, and there is some extensive video available online. You can just go through that just to understand how the things are moving around within your warehouse. And when we go through this course, there will be each and every activity would be discussed upon extensively. So we'll try to correlate with that with the real-time physical warehouses so that you'll have an further clarity on it. Right. So this is a typical warehouse requirement. There are these two different processes. One is an upstream process. There is a connection with an upstream, which we already discussed about how the planning run is being carried out. There are some requirements. You are carrying out some procurement. Against that, an inbound delivery is being created, and
you are putting it, and there will be some internal stock keeping functionalities to revolve upon, or to make some rearrangements, or like say to perform some operations you have to do within the warehouse and then the outbound scenario. And within when you perform each and every activity within your EWM system, you have to monitor, or the SAP manager, warehouse manager has to monitor each and every activity. And EWM also gives with the resource management and labor management as an extensive functionality, which would get integrated with each and every step which is being carried out within your warehouse. Earlier we discussed about an organizational structure on the ERP side and how is it being connected out to the WM or EWM org structure. And here we will be discussing about the EWM org structure as to how what is what, and how the things are being correlated to the physical aspect, to the actual things which are being configured within your SAP EWM system. So these are some of the high level things, guys. The ERP WM which we configured earlier, that is being communicated to connected back to the EWM warehouse number. This would be created within your configurations of EWM SPRO menu, wherein this is your configurational master data. The term seems to be confusing. Both the terms are there, configuration and master data. Why is it so? It is because the master data, like say the storage type, source section, bin type, bin structures. So all these things are being considered as a master data while you create different entities on the IMG menu and the SAP menu. So that's the reason these terminologies which are being configured as a master data are being again connected back onto your SAP menu master data aspects. So the highest level of your organizational structure within EWM is your warehouse number. So at this level, we are trying to create an warehouse which falls under one shade, or like say of one physical location within your like say within your facility. Like say, just to give an example, like say there is a manufacturing facility in Pune Chinswad area, but that manufacturing facility needs some raw material to be made available for, and that raw material or sub-assemblies or semi-finished products, everything has been stored into your warehouse. But that warehouse has been located just, I mean, like say 5 kilometers away, which is not the plant. And if you want to distinguish these two different locations, you'll be creating one entity as supply chain unit within EWM site. That would be giving you a perfect location, the geographical location with respect to coordinates, and that would be maintained and assigned to your warehouse number. Right, so this way you'll be distinguishing the different delivery locations for your plant storage locations and your different warehouse number pertaining to that. And when it comes to your this is about your location which is being connected via your supply chain unit as a master data connected to your warehouse number. But when it comes to the settings of EWM level settings, it controls your all physical attributes. What is the unit of measures of different criterias, time, like say the time unit of measure is required to record the durations of your labors traveling from one location to the other location. Like say when the in this area, from the door you are unloading the material, and from there you are bringing it back onto the distinguishing guiders, and from here you are transferring it back onto the different racks, or from here you are bringing it back onto the physical locations. If you want to record the durations or different criteria pertaining to your time, how in which unit of measure you have to record it. or like say different weight unit of measures or different distances if you want to measure upon how much is the distance from your door location to the physical storage locations or these work centers or different racks. So all these unit of measures you'll be mentioning on the warehouse number specific level settings. And when we talk about the physical attributes of your warehouse, it is an complete a combination of different storage types available. So when you zoom out your warehouse to the full extent, the entity which you see, that is called as your warehouse. And when you try to zoom in within your warehouse, the different kinds of physical areas divided within your warehouse, that is being called as your storage types. So these storage types are being distinguished with respect to their physical attributes, like say the temperature conditions, or like say the approach. There will be an floors defined, like say this is the area, if you can see. It's very small though, but if you can see here, there is an when it comes to then there is an difference of your floors. This area is called as a mezzanine floor. So if you want to distinguish this area to this area, you'll be distinguishing it with respect to your storage types, right? So and further to this, when we were defining and storage type within your WM system, it was only with respect to these physical attributes. But when it comes to EWM storage type design, it is being controlled by your storage type rules as to how the what is going on within that particular storage type, whether it is an only a physical storage type where it has been stored upon, or like say if it is a door will also be defined as a storage type, and whether it is in staging area where it has been stored temporarily, or whether it has been moved on to the freezed or like say sub-zero temperatures or those locations if you want to transfer it to. So based on that, you will be defining the different types of storage type roles. Based on that, you will be defining the storage types. Like say work center is there or door is there, staging areas we discussed about, or there will be some different identification points or pick points. If you talk about in the modern warehouses, there will be so many different automatic retrieval systems available. The material flow systems are available, like say conveyor systems or different automation devices. In this kind of an activity, if you want to identify the products or label the products or just see the products, so for that too, we'll be defining the different storage types within your warehouse, right? So that's the reason there will be a further bifurcation to your warehouse in the form of different storage types. And further, it would get divided into your storage sections. Within the storage types, based on the different attributes of your, like say, you want to distinguish different bin types within your storage sections, or whether the material is fast moving or slow moving, or there is some dead stock or uh, uh, whatnot. I mean, based on the different criteria, you can define the different storage types into different storage sections. And further, the storage bins, that which is the smallest entity within your warehouse available, that storage sections would storage bins would when we create the storage bins, the further storage types and storage sections which we have created already would be assigned while creating a storage bin. So the bins will further be created based on your bin types, like say based on their different sizes or different criterias, whether it is in palletized storage or is it being stored within the rack with some angle. So there will be a different criteria with respect to which the storage bin types will be created, against which the storage bins will be created. Right, say in these locations, if you could see the small boxes, these are all called the storage bins. And while creating, so we'll be having the different criterias to define it for. So within this facility, if you want to take an example, like say I have created this warehouse as in warehouse number W001. Under this warehouse number, if I want to create, like say, physical locations, you could just see here, I'll just copy this. Can you guys see this okay?
Yeah, Mayur, we can see good.
Okay. So within this warehouse, if I want to define, like say, there are some doors DO01, DO02. This is acting as my inbound door. This is acting as my outbound door. There is some staging area. There is some physical bins. Okay, so just to give you an example, this is my door. So this will be created as a storage type, and this is acting as an inbound door only. From here, only the inbound scenarios is being considered. So from here, once the goods comes in, there will be a staging area. So this staging area is pertaining to an inbound door. So after this, when it comes to inbound, after that, it would be stored onto the physical storage type below 10 degrees Celsius. If this is my requirement where it needs to be stored onto, then from this staging area, it would go to this storage type where the temperature has been maintained to below 10 degrees Celsius. And further to this, like say within your within your storage staging area, if I want to distinguish the different types of like say storage based on the different sequence of your posting, like say different sequence of your placing the materials within the storage sections, then I will divide the staging area into different storage sections as 01 and 02, in which the first storage section I'll just be placing the bins of sizes like say zero point 0.5 cubic meter, and here I'm storing the bins of 1 cubic meter. So this is the further bifurcation, so that what will happen is when it comes here and during the time of your inbounding, what will happen is once you unload the material, whichever which fits in the criteria of below zero point 0.5 will go into this storage section, and whichever which fits into 1 cubic meter, that would go into S02. And further to this, we'll be creating the bins within your staging area just to locate the area on the ground or given space. And further to this, once I move the material from this location to the physical locations, the further bifurcation would be of the same criteria of storage sections and bins. And further, it would get stored onto your physical locations. And there are some ground rules, guys, in the EWM side. Each and every area which we define it as a storage type should be having bare minimum one bin available with it. If we don't have one bin available with it, then the process will not run. So like say if you even if you are creating door which physically is not a bin, but since you are defining it as a storage type, it should be having a bin to be created. Right? If it is clear, guys, any questions till now? If not, then I'll continue. So this is about your storage type, then further division of storage type into storage sections. Like say this rack is one storage section and this rack is the other storage sections. And further to this, each and every small boxes within are your storage bins, and which are being divided as your coordinates as XYZ different coordinates. And there are some nomenclatures available within your where we define the bins as well, like say aisles or the stack and label. So we'll be discussing about that in detail when we create those bins and all those entities. So this is a typical warehouse plan, guys. So if you could just see, you cannot, I mean, this we cannot see the words, but here if you could see on the right side, these are some of the processes available. There will be a basic warehouse inbound process without any process-oriented storage control, wherein we are just bringing the goods from your staging area and you are physically storing it. But when we earlier when we discussed about that VAS related activity, in that if it is clear for you guys, in that we are bringing the product from your staging area to your different work centers and you're performing some of the activities, and from there you are bringing that back onto your physical locations. So that becomes your complex scenarios. There will be some internal automatic replenishments or customer returns, like say automatic replenishment will happen as an internal movement. All these red lines, if you could see, these are all your automatic replenishment. The further to this would be an outbound process. It is an outbound movement which is happening, like say this light blue line, where we are picking the goods with an web management, and from there we are dispatching it to the customers. So these are some of the different storage types which are mostly being given by SAP standard out-of-box solution. But as per our requirement, based on the customer's requirement, we can create as many storage types as possible as we want. So this is about the configurational master data, which we just discussed about. And when we discuss about or when we go into the details of configurations as a first class or the second class, once we develop a connection, we'll start with configuration master data, where we'll be defining each and every entity, storage type, storage section, bin type, structure, access type, the different staging areas and the connection between different staging and doors, the different work centers, activity areas, packaging specifications, and the PSAs. PSA is your production supply area. It is an advanced integration available between SAP EWM and production planning, wherein if we take an example of warehouse facility available just next to your factory location, or like say within your factory location only, if you're trying to store the warehouse by managing it via EWM, then the advanced production integration would take care of the activity pertaining to your staging of your all raw material next to your work centers and all these things. So this is something which is an interesting topic, and we try to build on some of the scenarios by taking real-time examples. And these are some of the EWM master datas: supply chain unit, party intended to dispose, resource management, product master, work center, PSA, packaging specifications, quality management related aspects, and shift management pertaining to labor management, as to how we maintain the shifts, how the resources are being assigned to it, all those aspects pertaining to labor management and shift management, we'll try to cover it up. But this is just an holistic view and EWM overview, guys. And if you find these topics difficult for now, when we try to discuss about each and every entity in detail, you'll have some further clarity, and we'll try to have some real-time examples, and I will try to convey some of the basic scenarios as to how we configure, why we configure, and what is mandatory and what is required. So that time you will have an 100% clarity on these topics. Right. So do we have any questions? Guys, feel free. I mean, and this is about the topics which we will be covering as a part of our training program. On the left side, these are all the basic processes, the warehouse structure and master data, cross-process settings, inbound process, outbound process, shipping and receiving. In that, they'll be looking into yard management and all. The internal warehouse processes, replenishment, posting change, stock transfer, then the physical inventory, the different types and all. And here on the right side, these are some of the advanced warehouse processes, the advanced production integration, value-added services, kitting process, then different cross-docking scenarios, wave management, RF framework, then the labor management, resource management, and warehouse monitoring, the different options which I got in that. So these are some of the topics which we'll be discussing about in the course. And the method of our approach would be first we'll go through a theoretical part, and then we'll try to configure each and every entity within our system. And we are trying to do it on 1909 embedded EWM system. And we'll be activating the advanced functions there. And after that, we will be having the revisions on the at the frequency of 7 to 8 days, and that's all. This is how the approach would be. And on the topics or any kind of a scenario, if I got any questions, just let me know.
Hi, Mayur.
Yeah.
This is Abhishek again. So
Yeah.
during the course, you will be sharing this materials, the presentation as well as the video recording.
I will be sharing the presentation, and I will be sharing some of the S4HANA press release books, and even the documents or the books provided by SAP. All those 100, 110, 120, 140, all those books I will be sharing. I'm not sure about the recording. You can just check it with Shiva. I think he can add on.
Okay. Shiva is here, right, in the call?
Hello? Yeah, I'm there.
Here. Yeah.
Abhishek, I will call you. I will.
Okay.
Hi, Mayur, Pooja here.
Yeah, Pooja, yeah.
Mayur, actually, I am basically a MM core consultant. I know S4HANA as well, SRM Arima, but I have never worked on WM. I just started, learning WM. So, how much difficult it will be for me to understand this session, because it is totally WM, right? Anyway, you are relating it with WM, you are giving the comparison, everything in between. But will it be,
Yeah.
difficult or what for me to understand this?
Yeah, Pooja, valid question, but I would say it is like I just have given those examples if somebody knows WM, but if you don't know it, then it is totally fine, because this is something where we are not leveraging any of those concepts which are already available on WM. It is just that we are trying to learn everything from scratch. So it is not mandatory to have any of those ideas on those aspects. It is not. But
Okay.
I would say the physical warehouse which we talked about, right? I mean, how the things are being processed on the actual warehouse. it should be better to have an idea about the image which are shown. So that would really help you to understand the concept in its entirety. That would help. But it is not mandatory to have the knowledge on WM.
Yeah, Mayur, I have little exposure of warehouse. I was in domain earlier, so that is plus for me. So I can understand the example which you gave.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not got. I mean, only Pooja and Abhishek are asking questions. Guys who all are there, just try to introduce. Try to introduce yourself by name. What kind of experience you guys are having, and that would help me to understand you guys properly. So that I would have. I mean, I was about to ask you in the beginning itself, but I thought let's do it in the last. Okay. Guys, one by one, I would just name it. Ganesh. Ganesh, if you could hear me. Okay, if not, Imran.
Hi, Mayur.
Yeah, Imran.
This is Imran, and I have been working in SAP since 5 years. So basically, my main module was MM. So currently working on MM integration with IS Retail. So I just was planning to learn EWM, but I was a little bit confused whether it is go with EWM or Simple Logistics or Ariba. So I'm just checking on the demo.
Okay. So just a suggestion, it's your call after all. The areas which we just have talked about, I mean, the one which are conveying Ariba and the other one are mostly pertaining to procurement. And based on your MM experience, you can look for the area of your interest as to on which side you are inclined more onto, whether it brings an interest for you to go on to the inventory side, how the scenarios are playing around in your mind. Based on that, you can decide upon whether to go with, because the areas of your area of your interest will decide on which area you should be going on to. But looking at the current market scenarios, both Ariba and EWM are very much hot cake nowadays. So
Okay.
it's your call.
Which one will be more relevant to IS retail? Whether EWM, Ariba is the one which will only focus on that retail part. So, your perspective, which one will be the better option, whether it is EWM or Ariba?
I'm sorry, but if we talk about the details, is it just the scenarios pertaining to procurement or inventory as well?
Yeah, inventory as well.
Yeah, if it is inventory and if you are more inclined onto that, then EWM would also help. That is very much required. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mayur.
Ganesh, are you back? Not there. Okay. Who's this? HP. HP is Abhishek.
Hi, Mayur. Yeah, this is Abhishek. Basically, I am working in one of the IT MNC. I'm located in Pune right now. So, I'm working in two modules. One is MM and one is PM, plant maintenance.
Yeah.
So I'm a MM and PM consultant. I also have some domain experience previously working in some manufacturing industries. So right now I want to, you know, extend my skill to EWM. So that is why I'm here in this demo.
Yeah, that's cool. Even on the PM side as well, there are so much going on, right? There are some advanced modules, IAM and DRCM and all those stuff. So I heard about it and I'm working on it, but definitely, I mean, those are all very extensive modules and very limited industries are making use of it. Definitely, it would help, and it's your interest which drives in, right? So, all the best. Okay, who's next? Pooja?
Yeah, hi Mayur, hi everyone. So I have total 9+ years of experience, 5 years domain and 4 years as a SAP consultant. So I was working with one of the part of Michelin Tires Germany before, and then I got into SAP after doing certification. Basically, I'm an MM Core certified consultant. Recently did S4 HANA also. So eager to learn WM and EWM as well, and want to grow in the same field. Um, yeah. And also, I got little exposure to work on SRM and Ariba upstream, downstream both. So little hands-on on that. But now I'm really looking for AWM.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. All the best. Praveen? Yeah, Praveen is our guy. Rakesh Reddy? Rakesh, can you hear me? If not, Sagar Atre?
Hi, Mayur. I'm having 3.5 years of experience on SAP MM, and I have just gone through some study material of WM as well. So just thinking about to go through WM or EWM directly. So wanted to attend this session.
Yeah. That's better actually. I mean, as I earlier said, actually, it is not mandatory to have the knowledge on SAP WM, but and if you talk about the current scenarios, we already talked about that SAP will be stopping and support for WM from 2025. So that's the reason people are moving ahead with EWM, and most of the migration projects are also going on from WM to EWM. So it's better to have an idea on that. Okay, all the best. Sai Teja.
Yeah, hi Mayur. I have 1.8 years of experience in SAP MM and WM, where core was with WM, like mainly dealing with. So having good knowledge on handling units and process of TO, all those things like basic things. So want to give a go with the if like the demo on EWM for knowing more things about yard management, cross docking, wave management, something like these topics.
Yeah, this would really help. Sai.
Yeah, Mayur.
Okay, guys. Good to have you here, and thank you very much. So,
Thank you, Mayur.
yeah. So, Praveen or Shiva, you guys want to add anything? Or?
I tell them we need contact number and mail ID to next. We need to send mail to.
Hi guys, please share your contact details and the mail IDs who are not receiving the mail from us. We will include it in the mail chains to share the demo videos and the documents, everything.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayur. What needs to be?
Some guys in the